Let's talk about loneliness in video games. Let's talk about the dark embrace of the night, the soft but gentle rustling of the wind in the summer sky. Let's talk about Minecraft. Minecraft, as we all know and love, is a little game that started back in 2009 that goes into way more obscure roots than it needs to. It boomed in popularity in the early 2010s and kept rising until it became the best-selling video game of all time. But I'm not here to talk about its history or its convoluted present-day version. I'm here to talk about Alpha. There's something so intrinsically interesting about all early alpha builds. It may be the fact that they're made by only one person, or maybe the feeling that something keeps following you around your own world. Still, the feeling of loneliness never leaves your side, and as you explore more and venture into the world, you never fail to feel like you're the only human left alive in a place where everything is alien to you. If I were to describe early Minecraft versions as one thing though, I would describe it as Caspar David's painting Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog. It's a very meaningful painting. It says a lot about the artist itself and about the place it was made in. Caspar became acquainted with death at a young age. His mother died when he was only 7. A year later, one of his sisters died, and another one died in 1791. But perhaps his biggest tragedy was in 1787, when his brother, Johann Christopher, died at the age of 13. David witnessed his younger brother fall through the ice of a frozen lake and drown. This became then reflected in most of his works, which became picturesque landscapes, which sometimes present people that are seemingly out of place in these lonely but beautiful places covered in fog, dust, and the morning as a mysterious force that never leaves it be. Somehow it resembles something, a sea of fog. In the early days of the game, most people kept the render distance low, leading to a literal sea of fog covering the entire world as you and I know it. The interesting part is that throughout alpha and even beta builds, there was no end to the game. There were no villages or villagers. There was no one there to aid you. You are the only human in a literal sea of fog. Even out in the distance, you could always, even with your render distance on max, see fog sometimes. I'm pretty sure that a big part of the loneliness is the music in the game, to call it so. The nuances called in-game key and oxygen have that lonely but hopeful melodic tune that makes you feel a little bit more alone. Let's talk about Playdead's Inside, because it's the first game that made me feel lonely in a different way. It made me feel unwanted in an hostile world where everything wants to kill me, nothing wants to help me, and mostly it's a different kind of loneliness than what I've ever seen. Without going into major spoilers, Inside is a game about you being a child and trying to infiltrate a facility of some sorts, where you eventually enter it and find yourself, guess what, inside, where you find out that they are doing experiments to control some people. And when the game isn't trying to show you some kind of puzzle or make you do a platforming section, it actually presents you with these liminal, almost dreamlike landscapes that I've never seen replicated in a game before. They have this realistic water and weird backgrounds that feel almost like there's something hiding behind them. If I were to name a few, I would name this forest where I got stuck on this puzzle for a while and got to look at this weird industrial-like forest with weird trees and foliage that seems way too green for its good. There's also this room where there's like a bunch of upside down boxes, and then when you look up there's people hanged to the ceiling in a like water that floats on top of it. Yeah, weird stuff. But if I were to say what this means for the game in itself, it just presents you as this like small little creature in a little corner of the screen. You're never big enough to be like at least a third of the screen. You're never big enough to be even a like 15th of the screen. You're a small person in a big world. You're alone. And ultimately lost in abstract geometry and rooms that don't make any sense. This is gonna be one of the longest talking points of the video, I say to myself walking into the rabbit hole that is Yume Nikki. If Minecraft represented the concept of loneliness due to the absence of others and the hiding of your environment, and inside represented the concept of loneliness due to the weird geometry and hostility of its world, lack of dialogue, then Yume Nikki represents a loneliness that cannot be described in words. It's abstract, but ultimately realistic in a way. The game sees you as a young hikikomori named Madotsuki, which cannot get out of her house no matter what she does. She is a shut-in that is neither in education, employment or training, and throughout the game we explored her dreams by going to sleep in the bed that is located in her room. The game has absolutely no dialogue, and the only form of being able to talk to someone is interacting with some of the NPCs and hearing the noises they make. Throughout the game you're left completely alone to your own thoughts and have to explore this world, which is very intricate and hard to follow through. It's a whole maze which starts all the way back in the Nexus, which is the hub world of this game. The Nexus is a hub containing doors leading to the dream version of Madotsuki's room and the 12 original locations. It is one of the few places to not have any music, making it suspenseful. Yume Nikki presents its message through different encounters you have through the game, symbolism and the geometry of the levels, the way they're structured, and because it's a dream, everything is connected. Somehow you can find a door in another door that leads to the original Nexus, or maybe you can find a door that leads to the snow world when you enter the door that leads to the mural world, and so on and so forth. Everything is connected and it goes deeper than surface level. When I originally played it back in 2018, I thought it was just one of the other horror indie games on Steam, and so I never thought anything odd of it being 12 doors in the center and then you entered each door, and I thought that was it. You just walked around and they were the same, they would infinitely loop. What I didn't know is that behind this whole game there's a deeper meaning than you can find with the naked eye. From presenting landscapes like abandoned malls and hell mazes and even backgrounds that are literally pictures of real life places, it has a unique art style that sets it apart, and with or without all the references in it, It presents this lonely but serene little world. If I'd have to talk about games I've played in recent memory that made me talk to myself and ask myself about its meaning, that would be milk inside a bag of milk inside a bag of milk. That is indeed a mouthful to say. Milk inside a bag of milk inside a bag of milk is a psychedelic experience that for only 79 cents is worth picking up. Not only can it present a powerful story in as less as 20 minutes, but it presents its own style of writing and art in a whole unique way. The art is great for the most part, and I love the way the color palette was picked. Limiting the game to a few colors makes it more memorable. I also have to mention the soundtrack, which, while not sounding like a lot, manages to make a calm atmosphere yet utterly terrifying one at the same time. While playing this game, I was reminded of the previous game that was showed on the list, Yume Nikki. And that game being one of my favorite games of all time, it just piqued my enjoyment of this game and helped me have a renewed curiosity of it. After I bought it on Steam one late winter night. Now listen carefully, this is important. In order to explain this game, I'm going to have to spoil it, so I'm going to recommend you first go ahead and play it, since it's only 20 minutes long and costs a whopping 79 cents. Otherwise, if you don't care about that and feel like you can deal with it, then go on with the video. There's also the option where you skip to the timestamp on screen, wink wink. It's okay, I'll wait. Well, as you can see, you are still here. Ironically enough, this game makes you feel lonely in the company of another person. In this game, you play as a voice inside the head of a girl with mental issues. Yup, no joke. You see everything from her point of view. The way the game makes you feel lonely is through the oppressing atmosphere and the dark, weird visuals. The visual novel type-ish game with no sound effects for characters speaking, which feels utterly fitting for the game. Ironically enough, I don't actually know how to describe this one past surface level, unless I just go ahead and list the whole story down, which I wouldn't honestly like, because that would, I would prefer keeping the integrity of the video itself intact. As a matter of fact, there's also a sequel to this game called Milk Outside a Bag of Milk, Outside a Bag of Milk, but I haven't really gotten quite to 100%ing that game. So a video about that will have to wait for another day. And I think that's a wrap, folks. While I wanted to talk about Silent Hill the most, my plan of beating the game before Halloween didn't really go as planned. I'm still like 20% into that game, so I'll make a separate video about that once I'm done with it. This was probably my first video essay ever, so I have to acknowledge that this video might be full of grammatical errors, but I tried my best. And it's been filmed over a really long period of time. I'm pretty sure filming this started in August or something like that. I had gotten burnt out making it and I only wanted to put it out at this point. If you've watched until here, then thanks a lot for that, and be sure to like and subscribe if you want more content like this, and share this video around. Anyways, I've been Luca, and cheers!